Hello everyone, so let's take a look at our app. Now this app, we can scroll up and down and we can click on this. We'll get started and we'll load this data from the server. And over here, the most important thing we want to focus is state management. Now of course, once you visit a certain page, you'll see that there are a number of people and this like button, and currently they don't have any options that's been chosen, like they're in default state. So the thing we want to do over here, and we want to take a look. So you could choose any of this, any page, any number over here, and then you might go to a next page and you go back to earlier page and you see that the state is saved. All right, and then you can also come over here anywhere, and not only that, actually you can also do the animation over here like this, where you can change the color, and after changing the color, even you can change anywhere you want, or any number you can choose. Now if you come back to other pages, that doesn't affect the other pages and changes, so it persists the states all the time. It doesn't really matter what you do. So whenever you leave a page and come back, you will see that the pages and the state is always there. Now everything has been done over here using Flutter blocbuilder. So once you finish this tutorial, actually you'd be mastering how to use Cubit and do this kind of state management. And this is beautiful for your app like this, as well as if you have an app where you actually manage the state, like ordering food on a table in a certain restaurant, where you want to go through this menu items and maintain the state locally and then submit it to the backend. All right, so first thing we said that we want to take care of this thing. All right, so let me move over here so that we know the changes that happens as we work on them. All right, now I'm going to come over here inside this project folder, and I'm going to actually come inside this. And over here, I'm going to create, inside this pages, I'm going to create a new page, new directory actually. And then inside this over here, I'm going to create a folder and we'll call it detail. Okay. All right. So detail pages, like that. And the first thing I'm going to do, drag and drop this inside this folder. So this is refactoring. So we're gonna restructure our app and organize these things. Okay, right. And hopefully it should be fine. So make sure that the path is auto-corrected. Most of the time, Android Studio does a very good job. If you refactor your code, it can automatically understand the things you are supposed to change, and it changes for you. So because looks like everything is correct, so we don't have any issue with that one. Now inside this over here, we are going to create another directory, and the directory name would say Cubit. All right, so inside this actually we'll store all the files that related to state management of this page over here. So the first file we want to create is called store page info and states.dart. So this is the first file we want to create, and then we'll create another file and we'll call it store page info qubits.dart. Right, so these are the few things that we need right now. Okay, so let me go ahead and close this. We also don't need this. We don't need this for now. All right. And over here, of course, we do see that we have earlier states over here in appqubits.states, right? But this time we are going to take a different approach in terms of how we write our states. Previously, we have seen that each class actually is, but this time we are not going to do like that. We are going to do it a little bit differently. We'll just create one class, and in that class, actually, we'll create all these variables. Of course, all of this over here could be encapsulated into one class. Now, it's your preference. A lot of time people might do it like this, people might do it the other way as well. So it's just your preferences that how you do it. So this time we're gonna take a different approach and encapsulate everything in one file, or in one class, I would say that. So let's go ahead and create a class. The class name we're gonna create is called class store page info states. All right, so this one actually should be inside this, because we are going to create our states first, and that's it for now. All right, so definitely it's nothing is there. Okay, so the first thing you want to declare a variable, and we'll call it int type, and we'll call it index. So as you see from this naming, you understand that we were gonna save this things. Well, not really this things, because we are going to save certain page information. Like for example, once you come over here, this is a page, and this page you want to store in the memory, in a sense, not the page itself, some information related to it. Okay, so this is where the index come in. All right, with index we'll be able to actually know which one has been clicked over here, okay, and save it. So that's why we need this index variable. Once again, because in different pages you might click on different numbers over here, and those numbers would be saved as index. So that's why we have defined it over here. And then we're going to create another variable, and we'll call it string. And for now we're going to name it name, but in future we're going to change to ID when we work more on backend. But for now I didn't touch the backend yet, so I'll just keep it simple. Now this name itself would refer to this one, because if we are going to save information in our memory, so information have to be saved in unique way. So for now, each of the names that we see over here, title, they are unique. So we're going to use this name as an unique. Okay, in general this name should be unique, because if this is an app and it talks about different places to travel, each place will have different name. So that's why in that sense the names are unique as well. Okay, so that means that if we want to store which number has been clicked over here, so two things will come into play. First, this one would be stored inside this index, and the name itself would help us to know whether this page has been clicked before or not, because each page is unique. So this two-factor would make it unique, that okay, we clicked on certain pages people number, or we did not click on certain pages people number. Okay, so hopefully it should make sense. So this is where it is coming. Once again, in general you might also do it using ID, but right now I'm skipping that because from our database we are not reading ID yet. So I don't want to change anything about that, which would be changing later when we touch the backend, because we need to change our API, which we would also do very soon, end of this tutorial. All right, great. And then we also want to have another one. Okay, so for now we'll just be happy with this. There's another thing that we should do about this one, this wish. We'll do it later. Okay, it's not really important right now. Anyway, so this is the class that we created. This class is to fill. So what do we need to do? We need to go ahead and create a constructor. So we're going to use a const, because we are using final. So we can use a const to create a contractor. So here we'd say this dot index and this dot name. All right, and with this, after this, we do see that our errors been gone. So our state class is pretty much here, very simple. Actually, just a class, and it has two fields and a constructor. And for now, this is good enough to trigger any kind of information for managing state. All right, so once that is done, now we'll move ahead to this one. And how does this should work? So over here we're going to create a class, and we'll call it store page info Cubits extends Cubit. All right, so inside this, all we need to do, we need to pass our state class store page state, this one. All right. All right, inside this, we'll have this constructor, and then we're gonna call super, and then we're gonna pass the state class as well. And we are not passing anything for now. All right, and if you don't pass anything, that should be okay. Let me see. And okay, over here it wants you to use a const modifier, and okay, so here, yes, it did say that we need this to information over here. So here, let's see if we can go ahead and put it like this, and then we come over here, the error should be gone. Now with this, it became more like named optional parameter. These are optional and a name once you use this curly braces. Okay, so the error should be gone, which means that we may pass, we may not pass this value at all. Okay, but of course, if you want, you can also go ahead and give them a default value. That doesn't really matter. All right, so yeah, this is the basic one. And then after that, of course, we don't have any method yet, so we're going to create a method to trigger information. All right, so the purpose of method is that you can actually trigger changes on the UI. So that method that should be called from, they should be called from our UI using our qubits. And as we call the method would emit state, and state most probably would help us to refresh data or add new data, remove data, or edit data, and that's what all will happen eventually. All right, so over here, first, all the things we do is that we're gonna add information. So we'll have few methods. It's more like a CRUD method, but actually two methods would do. It's more like CRUD operation, but two would do actually. And over here, we could say add page info, just like this, and then it will have a string title or string actually name, and then over here it will be index, int index. So these are the two things that we're going to work. So once we click on a page on a number like this, this method would get triggered, and then from there we're going to pass name and index, name of this page, and the index that's been clicked, we're going to take that one, and after that it should work. Okay, but of course it's not as simple as that one. There are things that we need to do. All right, so over here we are going to emit state. All right, and what are you going to emit? Now over here we know that this is our state class, and this is something that we can emit over here. So here state info storage like this one. All right, now this is in general, a lot of time you can just directly go ahead and emit information or call a method or a class, call actually class, or even a method from your states. But here in this case, it's not going to be so simple. It'd be very different because we need to remember where we are being clicked. Okay, so as we click, we're gonna save two information, the index and the page title itself, and together they became a class over here, as we see. So this class actually holds this two information. So what's going to happen each time we click on this, actually we're going to create a new object of a new class, and that's it. And then we're going to store them, and we're going to store them in a list. So how this is going to work? So this is where actually it comes, and we need to change over here. So instead of maintaining a certain class, we'll maintain a list of classes, and that list of classes would actually become stateful, which means that that list would be reactive, which means that if we make some changes in the list, if we do any kind of changes, add or remove things, that list would be reactive, and our UI would know that, okay, we have changes. So here we need to make changes. But why we need to do that? Because you see, we'll have many pages, and each page will have a different state based on this one and this one. So this should be saved in a file, sorry, in a list. Okay. So the way we are going to do is we are going to create a list of objects and store in this class, store in list, and list becomes reactive, and it's easy. So what are you going to do? I'm going to take this and just put a list and put it like this. And of course here we'd have a bit of issues because now the whole state is a list, actually not the class itself anymore. So over here we can just simply remove this, and then we pass a list, and first we pass an empty list. With this, the error should be gone. Now the same thing over here, because you are using a list, so we need to emit a list. A list is reactive, so when you emit, you can only emit a list, not a certain object. So this is the problem that we are facing right now. So we need to change this. Instead of emitting an object like this, we have to emit a list. And first we have to have this braces, because in Dart this braces means it's a list. So inside this you can put whatever you want. So inside this, first we'll have a new object. So let's go ahead and create a new object. To create a new object, we're going to call this class. So that would be our new object, and of course this new object will contain some information. So over here we're gonna pass name, and index like this. All right, so that's just an object inside a list, and actually we are trying to add this one. So we are trying to add it to the older list. Now the older list itself would be available inside the state object. So remember, when you create a state class and you want to access that class in your Cubit or BLoC, then you can use state object to do that. The state is automatically available. If you dive into Flutter BLoC, you can see that it exists there. If you go ahead and check, most probably it'll be over here, and here we do have this state class, and the state class well, looks like we can access it from here. So over here we do see that we have this state, and the state there is a getter, and that's how it actually works. So there is this state object is always available, and it's a getter, so it refers to whatever inside this stateful object. So what is our stateful object in this case? Our stateful object is this list. The whole list is stateful. So when you write an expression like this in BLoC or Cubit, it is you are telling BLoC or Cubit that I'm going to add an object in this stateful list, and that's how it works. So this two braces over here, this one means, okay, this is a list. First you get the object, and then you add it, and then emit the list. So that's the idea, okay? Because this has to be a list that's been emitted newly. Once again, with this, we add an item to the list, and then you emit it. So this spread operator means everything, all the objects in the list. So here we are getting all of them and emitting over here. So that new list with the new added object would be available to us. So hopefully it makes sense. And that's how emitting list works. Okay, well, now I know that that's a lot of information to digest, but that's how it works. All right, so yeah, now that's the first step that we have done. Now we need to go back to our UI, and from the UI itself we need to make changes. Now even before we go to our UI, so let's come to our main.dart over here. Now previously we have this one over here. Now let's go ahead and work on this. So instead of doing like this, we're gonna do multi-block provider, and it takes providers object, and it inside this it takes all the block providers. All right, and now after this, well, it also takes a child. So we are inside this, and we need to have this child property, and inside the child we can put our app qubits or app logic qubits. Now this app would have a little bit of restructure very soon, the way we organized everything. Okay, right. Now if we are using if we have a lot of block providers, because block providers creates block and those blocks are available to the children. Now if we have a lot of blocks, we have to create inside multi-block provider, and multi-block provider actually holds all the block which you can use later. Now we have one block provider. This will create one block, and we're going to copy this one and then put it here. Now this time, of course, we are not going to use app qubits or anything like that, so we're going to remove that. The qubit that we are going to use is this one, store page info qubits, this one. So let's go ahead and copy this and put it here. Only thing we need to do, we need to import it, and let's reorganize our code. All right, okay. Now what's gonna happen, so let's go to our detail page. So here we are, and we'll open up our detail page, and in detail page, once we click any of these items, actually we want to emit a state. So let's find that wherever it is. I think it is somewhere here inside the select index. It should be here though. Yeah, like number of people in your group, number of people, and right after this we have. So one of the first thing we could do right away, so look up the block and trigger a event eventually which will emit a state. So here we could do block provider, and what are you going to look up? We're going to look up this one, and then we need to pass the context. After that, here we call add. Well, it's not available yet because there are a few things we need to do. First, import this one, and then over here we need to use off, and then now things should be available to us, which is add page info. Now for add page info, we need to pass the name and index. Now this index would refer to the index that we click. Then what is this name? Remember, at the top we have this data model. I know that we have this detail, and from detail, as we came down, we can access the place and the name, as you see. So this is exactly what are you going to pass to it. So here we're going to have detail and place, and we have place as a name. All right, now okay, let's save our file and changes. Now here, let's click on this, and let's click on this. All right, now let's come back. Make sure that actually we are here. This is the right place. Yeah, this is the right place. Okay. All right, so yeah, this is what we have. Add page info. Let's come over here, and we're gonna see what happens. So first I'm going to do like this, var, and I can say list equals state and length, right? Okay, and then print my list length is list dot length, list dot. Okay, let me check why it does have bit length though. It's weird. It's giving me a bit. Oh, well, actually, we already have the length over there, so that's why. So I'm going to have this list dot length, and then I'm going to remove this list over here. Th. All right. And so we'll see two places whether it changes or not. Let's go ahead and save it. Okay, right. Now we click on this. We do see that, okay, here my list is, my list length is 2. Well, I can do this, and I can also do this. All right. And I think most probably we also need to, it's better we do like this. Let me go ahead and replace this state. All right, and let's come over here. So now you see it changes, because when this method gets called add info, we get the length object list. A list is the state. We get state, and state is our list, and we get the length out of it. And then we add one object, and we get all of them, and then we emit it. And after emitting it, remember, after this line, our list length has been changed. So that's what we see here, 3, 4. Let's try it. 4, 5. So that means that, okay, right now we can create objects, and then we are able to save it in our store. Well, of course, this is still temporary, because if you kill the app, refresh it, it'd be gone. But for now, as long as you are in the app, that should be available. But of course, when you come back over here, it's still gone. It's not available. So, but here it's available in the memory itself. Okay, as you can see, in the memory itself it is available, but our app is not being reactive yet. Okay, I mean, when you come back and check it out, you see that it's gone pretty much. I mean, it's not here, but the total information is still saved in this state object. Well, that's good news. So what is next? So that means that after that we need to come over here, the place where we were. Over here we need to work on the color itself. Okay, all right, so we need to find a way to know which index has been clicked and find that index, and based on that index, if we can find the index, because remember right now this index and everything, because our objects are being stored, so each time we store, we create a new object. Now objects are being stored, and if objects are being stored, then we can actually grab the index that being stored, and we can find it, and we can actually prove that. Say state dot, I think it might have last, because this is a list property, because state is a list now, and the last index, which means wherever I have clicked last time, that one, get that index and print it. Now let me click on this. Okay, most probably it needed a restart. Here you see index 0. The first one is index 0. The first, because every time I click, that becomes the last object in that list. And as I click, it gets added, it becomes the last one, and I get the last object and index for that one. So I may click this one. So this click became the last object, and last object over here. Okay, it looks like the index didn't change though this time, because object has been added, but we didn't see the last object and the index that was supposed to be triggered. So let us check why not. Now, one of the very first thing we could do over here, print the index, print before adding. So this is the index actually we are passing down. Passing from where? Passing from here. Let's check. So over here. All right. Now I'm going to restore the app so that the changes that actually I made, they should take place. And now let's come over here. Okay, so over here the index is, because when you click on this one, the index is 1, right? So we print 1, and we also see 1 over here. Now let's click on this one. So index should be 3 because it's the fourth element. Index is 3. Okay, right. So we do see that either we are not able to get the last element or something is wrong. So most probably the last one that we are trying to get should have a problem. That's why it's not triggering. Okay, well, the reason we always see the same index whenever we click on them, we always see the last index is 1. That's because actually we shouldn't be using last, we should be using first, because when we add an item to a list, actually the item is added at the top, so that becomes the first item of a list. It's very important. Okay, so that item becomes the first item at the list. Now if you go ahead and check, you'll see, okay, let's refresh. So here the last index is 4. Now if you click on this, the last index is 0, and which means it's working. If you click on this, the last index is 1. So yeah, we understand. So which means that it's get added, and we can access the object from the list, and then we'd be also able to access certain index from there. Okay, that means that we can use them. In fact, we can also use the name. But of course, in this case, here, if you see, come over here, click on this. So we see British Columbia. But of course, wherever you click, you'll always see British Columbia in this case. But now, if we change it, let's come over here, change it. And now if you click any of them, you see it changes. Okay, all right. And our item, the total length is growing as well, because each time you click, it grows, the list grows, and we see the related information. Anyway, so that means it's working. So what to do next? So we need to come over here in our front end, and we need to start looking up this information that's being stored in the shared memory of our app using Cubit. So what to do? Well, definitely the information is being stored, but now it's our job to look up that information and find the exact index and the name and match, and then show related selected item over here as well. But of course, right now, once again, if we go back, everything is gone, but this is not what we want, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, one of the first thing we want to do once we click on this one, actually, here, the very first thing we want to do now, actually, at the top is actually get all the data that is available to us. All right, and we only want to add certain things in the item if there was never clicked. Now, what does that mean? Well, right now we know that each time we click, an item of this page, including the name and the index, gets stored in our list, right? But you don't want to add it, because we have seen that each time you click, it just gets added. Once you select, actually you don't want to add it anymore. As you see, it gets added, right? Once it's being selected, the same item, we should not actually be adding anymore, right? So that tells us one thing. Let's come over here and let's check on our index. Okay, we know that at the top selected index is -1. If you come over here, this is the default one, -1, right? Okay, now we want to check on that. Okay, if selected index equal -1, and then we want to trigger this state actually, which means that storing information. So I'm going to cut this one over here and put it here. Okay, so over here I'm going to make a comment: only if a button was never clicked. Only if a button was never clicked. Okay, then this gets triggered, and then it's triggering. Now let's come over here. Let's check on this. Now let's check on this. And here, okay. Well, I think we already did. Something is wrong. Let me check. Okay, here print. Say inside condition, just like this. That's all for now. And then I'm going to restart this app, and let's see what's happening there. Because when we come over here, our selected index is -1. We know that. Let's come over here. You're right. Now let's click on this, and then hopefully we should see this. This should get called. Yes, we do have a bit of issues right now. Okay, yeah, I got it. Because this conditional check, we need to actually move at the top, because here we are actually using set state, and inside this actually this is being changed over here. You see, as we click on this index, we get it and we set it here, but just now it was at the bottom, so this was what causing the problem. Anyway, so now let's come over here and let's click on this. Now let's come over here, and now it should work. Okay, so over here you see, before adding 2, the length is 1, the index is 0, and the name is British Columbia. Awesome. So everything is coming from here. But now I'm going to remove everything. We don't need any of this for now. It was just for debugging purpose. It's too much. All right, if we need it, we'll add more information. All right, but now if you come and check over here, if you try to click, just not gonna click. It's not, I mean, it's not being triggered because the index is not -1 anymore. Okay, so this is the thing, right? So this part is okay. So this part we have resolved. That index is once you select 1, and then actually first time, of course this is valid only for first time. Now if you click on this one, of course this time index is not -1. It'll not add anymore because this condition doesn't match. Now that would depend on another function that we need to create later on, which would be as our update function, update page info, like that. Okay, all right, so first we want to take care of this one, only this one. That anyway, whenever we click on a page, I click on it first time, and then actually we can trigger an event and store that information only for the first time, and it should be valid for all of them, right? Okay, wherever we click first time, it should get called. But of course, now if you see, if we go back and come here again, the information is gone. That's because now information using this Cubit is being stored in the shared storage, but now it's we have to make it available to ourselves. Now how to make it available? One of the ways to available, as I said earlier, that okay, when we come over here, we can actually check one condition over here. So let's go ahead and here create a variable, call it var data, and then we know the state object is available, and from state we get the place. Okay, all right, the state is actually coming from here, we know that. let's come over here at the top, this one. So from state, actually we get this place, right? Okay, now in this page and the state itself, they have a relationship. We know it because each state object has a place and it has name and index and things like that. Okay, all right. And one of the other thing we want to do over here, var list, and I'm gonna call blocprovider, and then we're not going to create anything, we're gonna read the block. So here we'd say store qubits, this one, and then here we'll have context.state. All right, so what's happening, whatever in the state right now, we are getting all the information here in the UI, not there. Okay, because each time we click on this, on tap event gets triggered, so we need to process the data. All right, okay, now we're gonna loop through it because now list is a list, so we're gonna loop through it. So here we're gonna do for, and I'm gonna create a variable int I, and then list length, and then I plus plus. Okay, so this is a for loop. Now we're gonna loop through it. All right, so as we loop through, we want to check the information. So if list I, so we get the first object from this list, from this list we get the first object, and then we check the name of it, and then over here we say we also know that we have data object, and then from here name. Because remember, each time you come on a certain page, the page related information we can get from state place, right? We know it. And then inside the loop we are matching actually which page are you, because this list, this list, the state is a list, we know that can have tons of information, tons of pages, but we are looking for certain one. So we are on this page, on that page the page has a name, and we know that each name is unique, and we are trying to match if any of them has in the list. If it is there, it's awesome. Okay, so this is the first thing we want to check. And we also want to check the second thing over here, not just matching name, we also want to see that whether it matches with our index or not. All right, so each of the item in the list, we know that it has an index, and we also know that here we have an index. And what is this index over here? This is the actually index of, let me check, like this. Okay, right. So what is this index? So over here, this index, this one is actual index of this one, because now with this, if we meet this condition, we know that, okay, we are on this page, right? And then we want to check in this list over here that whether we have previously stored information or not using this index variable over here, If we did, which one was that we are trying to match? Okay, so if we click on certain button, everything gets triggered, and then we can match it, and that's how it works. Okay, all right. So if we match, it means that if there is a match, that means that actually, let's come over here. Then we say we found a match. Okay, that's it. Now, what's happening over here? Well, let's see. So, well, we are on this page, actually, and we already have a matching condition, the page matching. But if we met this one, this means that our index has met as well. So that's the idea. Now let's restart everything. Let's have a fresh restart, and let's come over here. Let's click on this, and then over here, let's see, remember, so this time when you click on a certain item over here, of course, up to this time our list is empty, so which means that this will not really get executed because nothing in the state. And then we know that our index is -1, so what's going to happen is that over here this add page info method gets triggered and will save information in our shared storage. So next time if I click on the same one again, that means that over here I would be inside this, okay, and I would be inside this one again, and we will hopefully see that it says we found a match. Let's click on this. All right, inside a condition, we know that where it is coming, it's coming from here. Now let's click on this one more time. Here we say we found a match, which means that, okay, we can pinpoint that this has been clicked, okay, and not only that, we can also pinpoint this index, certain index was actually in our shared storage, shared memory of this app. And that's the beautiful thing. And why it's beautiful? Actually beautiful in a sense that because our correct information is there, and which also means that actually we can trigger that information from, or we can retrieve that information and then use it. And how do you use it? Let's come over here. Now let's come over here, and you say it's gone. But one thing we have confirmed, that if we ever clicked on someone, that getting stored in the database, in the shared storage, and then we can match that one. Now there's the time at the top you actually do this checking one more time over here. So right inside this, actually, let's come over here, and inside this, you wanna retrieve the list. Because, you know, when you come and visit a place first time, the build method definitely gets called, right? And so this is a good place. So inside this, we could do like this, build a list and a block provider. And we are not creating anything. We do off and look up the here store page info qubits. We are looking up a different qubit over here, and then pass the context, and then over here we'll have state. Beautiful. And over here one more time we'll have this loop. We have to look through it. And why, I tell you, until I do the coding you might not understand. So let me go ahead and do it first. And then over here, actually I just could have copied it, but we're almost done over here. So let's over here, we can do conditional check if list I, and then dot name, which if this matches something, well, it matches the page name actually. So I'm gonna put it at the top. Now I can access the detail over here, detail dot place dot name. If this matches, it means that it tells us one thing. First thing, it could find information in shared storage, and that also means it matched. If it matched, that means for that page we have some information in the shared storage. So page matching means that we can retrieve that with the page that matched, it had an index that was being clicked early that is also saved. We can just grab that one. Let's go ahead and grab that one, and we grab it and put it here inside the selected list, and that's how you grab it. Okay, so if the matching condition met, that means we can grab the index and we say the index is not null, and then we save it over here. Right, beautiful. And if it is saved over here, now you will see that one of the things we could also do right away, actually we can print it over here. We found a match with index, and here you can just say selected index. Right, let's save it, and you see it already changed over here. Let's come over here now, 3, and it's beautiful. So that means that now we are going to different places, pages. Even you come over here and you go back and you come to the first one, you see this is awesome and this is saved, and you click on this. Here it says that we found a match. Wonderful. And is it really true for other pages? Yes. Let's come over here, select this, let's go back, come here, 3 is still here, and 5 is still here. Wonderful. And this is the beauty of Cubit, or state management package, and this is what we've been working for so long. Let's click on this. You see 3 is here, and this was 5, I remember, and this one was 4. Okay, right. Is this one, or I think this the other one, maybe this one. Yes, right. Awesome. It's beautiful, right? So our app is more like an app, not just UI. Okay, This is beautiful. Okay, so far so good, and it's working. But what's gonna happen if you actually don't have a match? So this was the match. So far I didn't click on other pages. Of course, if you click on the same one, it's gonna work. And it's also not gonna destroy any changes that we have on other pages. Because if we click on this, the same one, actually nothing gets triggered actually. So this one over here, add info only gets triggered if index is -1, which means that before any kind of changes, before nothing was clicked. But once you click on this, it gets triggered and we save the information. But what about now if I go ahead and click on other pages? Not other pages, actually, other buttons. It's gonna destroy things. Yes, kinda. Because right now, one of the other thing will happen is that right now, if we click on other indexes, first, this will not meet this condition, right? Yeah, so this will not meet. So that means that it's gonna more like be an update, okay? So if I click on a different index, first I have to grab that index and then I have to change the state over here, which means that the list over there, we have to change that one and update it, come back over here again and redraw the UI. So a lot of things happening over here. So, but it's more like a logical problem and a state management problem rather than coding problem directly, because not much code, but it's much of an understanding that how everything works here right now. So let me tell you. Once I click on other buttons, this will not match. So we'll fall back to this condition else over here. So we have to do two things. First, we have to grab the index, whatever was clicked over here, and then we need to update this one. We have to go over there, take out everything from there, and find that, well, if we have something clicked that was clicked earlier or not. That's the first thing. And second, one of the other things we have to do, remember, each time we click, first time when you clicked, actually it created an object, right? It created an object. So remember, when you call a class using the constructor, it creates an object. So now you click on different index, we have to find that object. And then after finding that object, we have to remove that object and create a new object and add it back. This is the thing we want to do. Now one may ask why just you can't actually go ahead and as we click on different places, add different objects. Isn't it easier just to keep adding and do the checking over here? Because after all, we've already done the check, right? No, it would be very confusing. First, if you keep clicking this list, because Windows state is a list, it would just keep growing, and which is first bad programming, and it's meaningless. So you have to, because we just have few items over here and few pages, so the list should not be infinite. But if someone might just keep clicking, and each time you click, you create an object and store, create an object and store. This is, I mean, very rude or impolite way of doing programming. That's not you want to do. Okay, so you want to get that object, what was saved there, and edit that information. So this is what we want to do. Hopefully it makes sense. All right, so if we click on this, so next thing, what you want to do first over here, you want to grab that object, right? So that object, we know that if we click over here, now my new clicked index is, so this is something that we are going to print over here, index. All right, let's go ahead and save it. Now let's come over here. Now let's click on this. The index is 1, index is 4, right? Of course, the state doesn't change yet because there are problems. Because right now it can't match where to change, because it can't match, it keeps the original, the one that earlier we had. But one thing we confirm that, okay, right, we can at least grab the new index. That's one thing, right? Okay, good. Now over here, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it here. All right, okay. And then now instead of add page info, we want to call it update page info, right? And of course, if you come over here, this method doesn't exist. So I'm going to copy this and let's put it here. And then instead of add, we're going to call it update page info. Wonderful. All right, so we need to work on this update thing. All right, so one of the first thing we want to do that we get everything from our list. Okay, so here I will say var my list and get the state object. So this is our list and we save it over here and we'll loop through it. Okay, so over here first we'll say, okay, my list, well, how to do that, index I and my list dot length and then I plus plus, this is a for loop, and then over here we're gonna check if my list I, and we're gonna check the name. First we need to make sure that if title is matching, which is the name of this page. Okay, so first if it matches, which means that, okay, I found the correct page. That's the first thing, or correct screen, because each screen has a unique name, right? So what is the first thing you want to do? You want to remove that. Okay, whatever was there, just go ahead and remove it. So here we're gonna call state, because state is a list, so we can call remove like this. And as you remove, what do you want to do? Just remove whatever was there earlier, but whatever was there, so we need to find the correct object for that. So here the correct object would be coming from here like this. So here it's say my list, my list. Okay, so here is like this, name, my list, index I dot name, and index my list and I dot index. Right, that's it. First, to remove that. So with this, we prevent unnecessary growing of the list. So first, as long as we match a page name from our list, which we did over here. So this is the name that is being sent, and this is the name that was stored early. If we can match, it means, okay, there is a match for this page. It means that this page was stored before. If this page was stored before, okay, whatever the object was there, find it and remove it. Now remove function, this is a remove function. If remove function can remove things, actually it would return true. So here it's a var rem, all right, and over here we can print it. Print my remove action is rem. If it can remove, then it returns true actually. And what is removing? If it can find a certain object, then it removes from the list. And if it does, then it returns true. And that tells us that, okay, our object has been removed, all right? Okay, now after that, we can also be smart over here, print, and my list length is here state dot length, this one. Okay, right. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Let's come over here. So as I click over here, so we'll see that list length didn't change. Why not? First reason is, well, because we removed it, and then whatever was given newly we added back. It sounds like we are doing the exactly same thing. No, the name is same, but this time the index is coming because we are clicking on a different index. So the index is different. And we make sure that if the index is same, nothing gets triggered. Remember, If the index is same, we are here. Okay, so if the index is same, we are here. That's it. Okay, so we remember that if the index is different, we come over here and then we actually update it. So first we come over here, we match the name. If the name is there, that means that that was previously in our storage. We remove that, and then we create a new object and emit it. That's all. Let's save it. All right. Okay. Now if we click on this, nothing changes. So we found a match with index 2, which means that it came from here, right? Now if I click on a different one, things will change here. Well, of course it says that my remove action is false. Okay, now the index list is length is 3. So something went wrong, which also means that I was not able to remove anything from our list. Well, okay, so since this is not working, let's take a different approach. So we are not going to remove it like this. So let's keep it as it is. I mean, remove that. And then here var rem. So you're going to create a new variable, the same variable actually. And then we'll use a new method to do that. And I think this is much better. So we're going to get state object and remove it, this one. And all we do, pass the index. Let's go ahead and do that. So now let's restore everything and see how things go. Let's come over here. We click on this, fine. We go there, click on this, fine. We go there. Now we come over here, nothing happens. But let's click on this, beautiful. So it changes automatically, and it says that it. So the idea is over here. You see the length is. Over here the length itself is says that 1. All right, so first that's because we have 2 items right now, because we have the other pages. So it removed this one and then it added automatically again, but because this already exists, so that's good one. So that's why the length 1, because when it comes here, actually it removed, nothing added, and when it comes here it added again. So the total length is 2, but up to here the total length is 1. And the most important part actually is working, as you see, right? You can change anywhere you want, and then as long as the app is alive, so it's beautiful. So nothing is there, but if you click on this, add 2, right, go back for here, and you can do as many things as you want, but nothing interrupts the other places, the changes that we made before. So it's still intact, and this is awesome, wonderful. So with this, our basic state saving is good now, and it's working. So I'm going to remove this. But of course you may feel like okay, we saved the state, but it's a lot of work. Yes, right, saving state is just the job of Cubit, but what do you do after saving the state? What do you do with the information? That's not the job of Cubit or BLoC. It's all up to you. So after saving, what do you do? Like we did a lot of work here. Actually, this is our job. Okay, all right. So here it should be clear to you that how it works. All right, and why it should work like that. But of course, if you want to, you can move this logic to another page as well, but I don't think it's necessary, because in that case you have to pass a lot of information to another page or another function. Yes, if you want, you can create a simple function down there, so to keep it simple. All right, so the whole logic could be changed to somewhere else. All right, we'll take care of that later. So our next job is to work on this wishlist button and make it reactive. As you click, it would glow. I wouldn't say glow. Glow needs a lot of animation. We don't want to do animation here. So as you click on this, it would change the color. You click again, it would go back to its original color like that. Okay, so that's what we want to do right now. So what is the next thing we want to do now? Well, the next thing we want to do, change this color as we click on this button. This is what we want to do. All right, so now to be able to do that, first we need to come to our qubits and as well as the state info class, and inside this actually we are going to create a new variable and we'll call it final, and well, it won't be final actually, so it would be color like this, and then it would be nullable. Of course here it's this dot color, and we'll give it a default value const app colors dot, let's see if we can get app colors dot main app colors dot looks like we can't get it. First remove this one, and let's come over here, main color, this one, right, and let's see, the default value must be a const, so let's put a const here, and expect it to find something. Okay, that's an issue though. Let's go ahead and import this one as well, and okay, and in that case we need to remove this because one of the field is nullable, and then over here expect it to find let us check our page over here, and no, yes, so let's come back to this one more time. What if we remove this? No, it doesn't work. It says that expected to find something. Now if it doesn't recognize like this, one of the other ways that we could do over here, let's come to our app colors file over here, and here we do have this main color, so this would be the default value. Let's go ahead and grab this, and then we come over here. Let's see, it is something that we can apply or not, and here, yeah, so it worked. All right, so we are adding one more information in our colors in our object in the field itself, right? Or in that case, is it possible to remove it? Yeah, we could do it like this, so we are fine. So now we added a new property to our object, the way that we create object, and we also assigned a default value, which means that if we don't pass any of this, and it's still gonna work because this is default nullable and there is a default value. So which means that if you come over here, and as you see, well, it's working. Okay, go back, come back, the states are saved, it doesn't impact the earlier situations. Awesome, so we can close this one, so we're done with this, and also this one. Right, now we need to come over here, and over here we are going to add a new method. We're gonna call it update page wish, like this. All right, over here we're gonna still pass a string name int index, and over here we'll pass color, right, like this. Okay, and it looks like we also need this. All right, and at the same time over here we're gonna also set up a default color. So here it's a color, sorry, not like this, color. So here whatever we had, so that's our default color, and most probably here we can do app colors dot main color. Let me see if we can import it, if it works. Okay, now this time it works. So which means that whatever the color is there, we can pass it, and it is over here is set as default, which means that inside this we can pass it as well right now. Okay, color, it's important, otherwise when you change this the color will mess up. So whatever color is available as default, go ahead and grab that one. So that's one way to go. All right. So because when we work on this, we'd get the default color, whatever was there, we'll grab that one. And over here also, okay, that, and over here. And if somehow we click over here and we are going to change the color, then actually we should update this one. Otherwise, we update here, but we didn't update this color variable, and next time when you do this one, it's gonna take the default one, which is not good. All right, so let's go ahead and index over here. Well, actually it should be inside this color. Now it may be confusing, so over here I'm going to change this one, changed color. Okay, now over here we say changed. Now whatever I said right now, it might not make a lot of sense. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually do the coding, and then we come back to this, which will make more sense later. So what's after that? And after that, actually the next part is relatively easy. So first I'm going to copy this and put it here. So once we update this one, actually, as we know that now our new our class state page info also takes the color information, so we also have to update this one. Now let's come over here, and inside this, actually, so whatever we are doing over here, so if we click on this, we'll change the color, and before we change the color, we'll check the object that was stored before. If that can be found, we'll remove that one first, and that's what we did over here. So this update logic over here is the same. So over here itself doesn't change a lot. Only thing changed over here, we added a color. So that's why actually we created a method. And then after that, we can just simply go ahead and take everything and emit a state. Now this code a little bit convoluted, I know, but it would make more sense once we're done with the UI. We'll come back and try to understand it. But here I'm going to make a comment where we say that with this we always get the updated color if we change the wish button color. Hopefully it makes sense. So of course this method would only get triggered when we click on this, otherwise it will not get triggered. And as it is get triggered, eventually whatever the color would be, the new color, we'd pass it from the UI, and then we'll save it in this variable, which is this local variable over here. And then we also update our state variable, which is this one. Now the benefit is this, it looks like we are overdoing. It's like we can just save this one over here. No, it's not gonna work like this, because remember, when you just update page info over here, we don't have this color information, whatever was there. So that's why we save it globally. Okay, as we save it globally, what happens over here, so when we add a new one again, so we get that earlier whatever the color was there, actually for this button it gets saved. Now there could be other ways to do that. Okay, so this is the way that I can think of right now, so that's why we put it here. But the basic update method didn't change, where first remove and add an item. And because we are something adding new, so we make sure that it is always available in our Cubit. So that's why we created a variable. It had a default value, but the value also changes when we click on this. Now the change value would be coming from our UI. Now let's go ahead and check on this. So now over here, one of the other things that we have to do at the top, we have to actually declare a variable. So here we'd say color, and then here app colors dot main. All right, so this is still the default value. Okay, but now since we are saving the color in the list, when the page gets rebuilt, if it gets revealed, we should get that color. All right, and getting that is easy because every object has a color tagged with it. All right, so over here I'm going to do like this, and then over here we just take the color object. So it's like whatever was there in that color object, get that one, push it here, and if you can push it here, then what's gonna happen, this button, this over here will be able to change the color. Okay, so that's the idea. Hopefully it makes sense. All right, now what I'm going to do over here, now this button is this one, but this is not responsive. So just like earlier time, we need to wrap it around gesture detector, and then we'll have on tap event, and let's go ahead and have it, and then we'll have a child, and then we put it here, and then we do it here like this, remove one of the. So this is the place actually where we are going to put a lot of energy and effort to click on this color thing. But okay, if you just save it, and now let's go back, and of course we will not see any changes yet because everything is still working as it was supposed to be default. So here we go. So one of the first thing we have to do, now anyone can click on it anytime, even before they click this, right? So this is what we need to keep in mind, and this is where we need to work first. So one of the first thing we want to do, we get a variable and create a list, and then we look up the block provider, and then we do off, and then we look for our store page info qubits, this one, and then we pass the context object, and then we just simply get a state object from it, which is a variable of list. Well, it looks like it's not getting block provider, missing I. All right. Okay, cool. So yes, with this we get the list, and one of the first thing we want to check if list is empty, because list might be empty, because right now the way it is there, it is not empty, we know that, but here it could be empty, we know it. Now if it is empty, then let's change the color. So what is the color right now? Well, you can assign a color. What color do we want to assign? We want to say colors dot red. This is the new color that we want to assign. Okay, if, well, now this is only valid if the list is empty. Okay, and if the list is empty, okay, we did that, and after that actually we want to save the color because the list is empty and someone clicked on it, and we want to set the color to red, saying that okay, so this is our new color. Okay, so we want to here, come over here and do storage qubits and pass the context, and then here we can say update page wish, second one, right? And beautiful. So now it is making more sense slowly. Now over here you can simply pass detail dot place dot name, this is the page name, and the index value. Now remember, over here we don't have access to this index, but we can always use selected index. Remember, selected index has a default value, as well as if this index changes or it changed somehow after interaction, it always saves the value. Okay, so this is what we know, so that's why we can grab this one and change the color. What it is, it could be the color that we just set at the top, and beautiful. Okay, all right, now if we do so, now let's come over here. Now one of the thing I could do, say I could change either the background color, any of the color that now we can make it like say colorful. So over here, the border color. So border color, I want to assign it to color. All right. Yes. Just like this. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. We do have a slight issue. Is it because, yeah, like that, because it was declared as nullable. Now let's save it. Okay. Great. Now let's click on this. Okay, so of course we don't see any changes here yet. Well, one of the things we could have done, we could take this one, not exactly this one. We can just take this, and then here we do set state, and yes, let's save it. Okay, right. And there was given the border color. Now let's come over here. Okay, now it looks like border color didn't change, but we wanted the color to be changed. Now let's come over here and check on the border color. Yeah, it should change the color though, but we didn't see any changes over here. Now let's go ahead and work on them step by step. So very first thing you want to do over here, print new color like that, and let's check on this. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it outside, sorry, like this. Okay, I know that why it didn't work. It's not that it didn't work, the logic, because I said if the list is empty. Just now when I clicked on this, the list was already not empty. So of course, if you click on this, this condition doesn't match, right? So that's why it was not like that. Okay. So now come over here, now click on this. We see that it changed because this time the list is empty. Right, now let's come back. Let's come over here. We still say it's red. It preserved its color. But now if you come over here, it doesn't have any color. Okay. All right. So that means it's good. And at the same time, actually, most probably we also want to change this color over here, which is our icon color. Okay. All right. Let's save it. Beautiful. And we are doing much better. So yeah. So that is okay if the list was empty, but if the list is if the list was empty, then it works. What if the list is not empty? So we also need to do a conditional check. So if the list is not empty, which means that, well, okay, first there is an object in the list itself, and if there is an object, for that object there is a color as well. So if there is a color, our job now becomes easier. What is our job? We need to toggle the color. That's all we need to do. Each time we click, we just toggle the color, which is much easier than this logic. Because here we had many indexes, this and that. So we need to grab what index was there, what index was not there. We had to do a lot of check. But here, logically, it becomes easy, but we still need to write code. But this time is only toggle the color. Only toggle the color. So toggling color means we have two different colors. Go ahead and grab them, okay, and change between them. So first we wanna check like this. So we would say for int I equals 0 and I. So we have this list length, and then I plus plus. We do like this, and then we come over here and we go inside this thing. Is it this? Yeah. Okay, right. Now over here, of course, we also want to check. Remember, previously we have checked on the index. If you see carefully, we were changing the index, and we are checking on the index itself. So this time, what are you going to do? This time, we're not going to check the index, we are going to check the color. But even before that, we need to make sure that if we are on the right page. So how to know that one? So here we have list name equal, you could do detail dot place dot name. Okay, if this matches, and then if. All right, so this is what we need to do. So here actually we are going to have this two conditions. So here one more time, list and list I dot color. If the color, okay, so just checking on the color. Well, if it is in the list, and what is the color? If the color is colors.red, if the color is colors.red, do one thing, else do another thing, and this way it becomes much easier. So if the color is red, we need to set the color, which is our app color. Now in that case, I'm going to copy this one more time, and let's put it here. Okay, right. But this time we want to change the color to app colors dot main color. That's it. All right, so that's the first thing, and this color object is still there, right? So hopefully it should work. And the way I think well, I think this is so far so good. Yeah, that's it. And else, on the other hand, else is kind of the opposite. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this one and put it here, and then here we just say colors.red. Okay, and that's it. Okay, because we only have two colors. If this doesn't match, then it has to match this one, and we also retrigger a color. Well, it could be cranky or annoying sometimes. So one of the things we want to do, as soon as we match, we just return from there. We don't want to execute any longer. Okay, otherwise it can go loop through it, and because we are triggering this change over here, without this, because you know, well, when we do this one, the state changes immediately, right? If the state changes immediately, the build method most probably gets called again, and if the build method gets called, a lot of other things would change. Now if it changes, it can disturb our logic. So the way, as soon as we match, let's get out of this loop, and that's it. Now the same logic goes here as well. So here we'll say return, right? All right, now let's save it. Okay, cool. Now so far, well, I think our list is empty. Well, if the list is empty, well, so this time the list was empty, but now when you click on this, the list is not empty. And I know that this time the red would going to get triggered, and if red gets triggered, I mean this condition would met, then we'll change back to the default one, and it's working as you see. And this time we know that would be here, right? Okay, beautiful. Now this part was so far good, but actually I have already taken care of everything we needed to know about this. Well, now let's work with this together. All right, now, okay, we have a change over here, right? Go back and come back. Okay, we see the changes are persistent, but now if you go to other pages, and it's the same. Now let's come here, go back. Okay, the change persistent. Now here it does look like it didn't work. Actually I tapped on this button, but it didn't get triggered. Now let's come over here and come back. So here the idea is that it's not getting triggered. Now it looks like it's second time it did. You come over here, yeah, and over here the states are same. Now a lot of time what what happens that when you trigger so many of them, to make sure that the trigger they take places immediately. In that case, this one actually we could wrap around feature.delay. Not immediately, actually there is a delay has to happen. Let's go ahead and do that. So here we are going to say feature.delay. Let's see whether it works or not. Duration.0, and then over here inside this we execute whatever we are supposed to do. Now let's put it here and let's see whether it works or not. All right, so I'm going to come over here and then let's do this. So we don't have any problem here, and let's change the state. And now let's come over here, and here. Well, looks like we didn't trigger this, but it got triggered. Let me check. Okay, let's try this one more time. If we have bug, we have to solve that one. Okay, if we're on this page, all right, fine. And okay, we are good. Now let's come over here. Okay, we are good. We are good. Now let's check on this. Let's come over here. Okay, no problem. So far so good. Now randomly pick any of them. Now let's pick on this. Okay, so here is the problem that we found that one of the places as we click on this, it was auto triggering the changes. Now let's go ahead and check it that why it's happening. There is also a problem that might arise later, which is actually better solution after giving it a thought. So what I decided, okay, not to have it like this. Let's change it. Instead of a color that's globally available, it's better whatever the color is there on the UI, just pass that one. And with this you'll have a better control and make sure that none is being stranded, because when we have like this, the one over here, it may cause updating problem. And actually I have done a test. So this is why instead of showing you the problem directly, just let's go ahead and change to color that would be passing from our UI directly, and whatever the color changes is there, we'll just get it. So with this just becomes bugless. Otherwise, actually I have done a test and I found that sometimes color doesn't get updated. The only way to work with this is just go ahead and pass the color from the UI itself, because current color would be always available on the UI. Now of course we made these changes, and after that we need to be here, and I think we'll have two problems. One of this is over here. So this update page info over here, we need to actually pass a color. But remember, this color is always available on the UI because we have defined a default color. Now if we also make a change on the color for conditional check, which actually we did before, like if you see, come over here, the color section. So whatever we do, if the color changes, we actually remember the new color, so assign it the color is globally available on the page. Anyway, so about color, actually I was doing some debugging and I found that thing causes a certain problem. So let's go ahead and keep it clean. All right, so this is what we have, and now the problem you just have realized over here that something happened. Let me show you what is the problem. Let's come over here and then come over here, and over here I'm going to click on this. I think we don't have any log. Okay, as I'm clicking, no problem. And once I click on this one over here, what condition am I going to fall? Look at this. So if I click on this one, it would be at the top, right? So over here, if I click on this, we just simply belong to this condition, right? Because index doesn't match, so we definitely gonna fall into this condition over here. Okay, so let's see, print updating info like this. Okay, right. Now click on this and here updating info. And updating info, after that there is a problem. The problem happens over here. Even if we updated the info, but we didn't change this index over here, it get changed over here. So as you see, we already updated the info over here, page info, which means that we already have an item in our list. But because we are changing this select index later, so this line would get execute. Because the very first time when you click on this buttons, the select index itself is always -1. But when you clicked on this method got called, and over here this is still -1. So this added page would get called again. I can print that. Adding page info like this. Let's go ahead and restart and we'll see how it goes. Let's come over here. Let's come on this. And then let's click on this. You see, first we updated a page info, no problem. This time, when we go ahead and do that, our current item in the list is 1. But now, here, our current item in the list added 1 more time. But this is wrong because per page, it doesn't matter wherever you click. In our actual list over here, the list itself, it should only have only 1 item, but now it's becoming 2. Now if it becomes 2, you could also check it over here. You could do a print method. My list length is like this. List.length. This one. Now let's save it. And to understand better, I think I'm missing G over here and over here. E and G, right. Okay, let's come over here. Let's click on this. No problem. So far, it's always length is 1. This is expected, right? Now, if you come over here and click this, the length become 2, but it's wrong because previously we understood per page we have only 1 item that should be saved in this state list. So altogether, if you have 5 pages in the list itself, there will be only 5 items. That's all. We don't want any repetitive item because that would cause bug. Now, if this is so, now for this page we have 2 items, and this is the problem. The problem happened because here, right after adding this page info, we didn't update the index. Okay, because we did that. We came over here. So this is a place where you need to update your index. Okay, now remember this button gets called and then this one gets called. Like over here you see updating info. So I clicked on this button, the index was 3, but we didn't update it. We updated it later, so that was the problem. Hopefully it makes sense. Now over here, I'm going to update it. Selected index equal index. All right. Now let's go and reboot our app, because we have to refresh the memory. And now let's come over here. You could toggle as many times as you want. It doesn't really matter. And then click on this, and then go ahead and change, and you click and come over here. All right, so that's fine. Now, okay, this is good. So far so good. All right, now let's make a test over here that whether it works or not. Now here there is another thing that we need to take care. So let's see. Remember, now by this time when we come over here in this situation, whenever you click on this button, what would it be like? What is the list situation? Is the list empty? No, the list is not empty. Okay. And does the place name matches? No, this current page name, they are not going to match, because the list itself has information, but it's about earlier page. So the problem is, now if you click on this and try to operate on this page would be buggy, because none of this condition met over here. The first is the list is definitely not empty, so this is not going to get executed. And we take the list and we do the conditional check over here. We'll see that, okay, name doesn't match, so definitely this line of code or this line of code is not going to get executed, which also means that this line wouldn't get executed at all for this new page. So what's going to happen if you click on this? After clicking on this, we can't have actually a color change right away, so that's the problem. You see, I clicked on it, but the color didn't change. That's because none of these pages are becoming, sorry, none of these conditions about color change for the button itself is not applicable. So this is something that we need to change. Not need to change, we need to add more condition. So after this, okay. So this is the condition. This condition ends over here. So all we need to do, we need to come over here and else, we can do first else, and then if list I, well, we don't need this list I. Let's see. So here we'll have color variable, color equal app colors dot main color. If the color is main, just toggle the color, that's all. All right, and how to toggle? It's pretty simple. We'll just copy this one and put it here. Yes, if the color is like this, first we'll toggle the color. So it's already main color, which is this color. Then we want to set it to colors.red. And else, because we just only have two conditions, so I'm going to copy this one more time. All right, and then here main color, sorry, app colors dot main colors, app colors dot main color. Now I know this part of the code is a little complicated, so you guys may get the complete code for this one, this conditional check, and the other conditional check from the link below. Okay. All right. So now with this, let's go over there and let's hot restart. Let's come over here. So nothing should be a problem for us because every condition is working. All right, now let's come over here on this page, and we can also toggle. Looks like I was missing one of the toggles, so let me restart. What happens here? Make sure that our condition is correct. Wherever we were. Okay, one of the things that I do get it, most probably we are missing this one. This should be, make sure that your color gets triggered by the set state. Okay, this is important. Otherwise, even if you change the color, you might not see it immediately. So set state and put it here. All right. Okay, now let's come over here. Let's come over here. Okay, we always see, okay, changes visible for. All right, now let's come over here. Let's click on this. Yes, it changes immediately. So the length should be 2, and this is the correct one. Now let's click on this. Okay, you see, so length doesn't change, so the toggling is working as we expected. All right, so the state is maintainable. It's being maintained everywhere you go, and this time, first time, actually it's being correctly maintained, and this is awesome. And this part is pretty much about algorithm, that how you design it. Okay, there could be a little bit more optimization that we could do, but now our app is more like an app rather than just some basic UI. Now the code itself, you guys make a lot of mistakes, I know that, so you can get this logical code from the link below, and which should be useful for you guys. Hello everyone, assalamu alaikum. Let's take a walk through this app. So here we can do up and down, and then we can come over here. Oh shit. Hello everyone, so let's take a look at our app. Now this app, we can scroll up and down, and we can click on this. We'll get started and we'll load this data from the server. And over here, the most important thing we want to focus is state management. Now of course, once you visit a certain page, you'll see that there are a number of people and this like button, and currently they don't have any options that's been chosen, like they're in default state. So the thing we want to do over here, and we want to take a look. So you could choose any of this, any page, any number over here, and then you might go to a next page, and you go back to earlier page, and you see that the state is saved. All right, and then you can also come over here anywhere, and not only that, actually you can also do the animation over here like this, where you can change the color, and after changing the color, even you can change anywhere you want, or any number you can choose. Now if you come back to other pages, that doesn't affect the other pages and changes, so it persists the states all the time. It doesn't really matter what you do. So whenever you leave a page and come back, you will see that the pages and the state is always there. Now everything has been done over here using Flutter blocbuilder. So once you finish this tutorial, actually you'd be mastering how to use Cubit and do this kind of state management And this is beautiful for your app like this, as well as if you have an app where you actually manage the state, like ordering food on a table in a certain restaurant, where you want to go through this menu items and maintain the state locally and then submit it to the backend. So without further ado, let's get started.